Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
Hey everybody, it's Zach, aka Zach's Reviews. We are back again with another video. I just got done watching The Flash. It's Flash Tuesday. Also, Superman and Lois is on, so I had to actually, it's recording Superman and Lois, so I'm gonna, after I'm done filming my review for The Flash, I'm gonna jump right into Superman and Lois, and then that video will be out for you guys. But about this episode of The Flash, this was the conclusion of this storyline that we were supposed to end back in Season 6. So, to see the way the finale was of that storyline with Ava, to be honest, this whole episode, there was like maybe one moment I really liked in this episode, but other than that, it was very, it almost in a way felt very rushed. I mean, I understand they really want to get into the new season of 7, but I felt very rushed. It felt like the way they ended the conclusion of Ava, it's like the one moment where, we find out, when she stops doing what she's doing, it's very like, you couldn't have done that earlier. I was like, really? Like, you couldn't have talked her out of it earlier? Like, why now is she willing to? I just understand that because she's made destruction before. So that one moment where, like, Iris kind of, like, convinces her to stop what she's doing, and I guess Iris has the same powers as Ava because she's been in the Mirrorverse so long, in a way. So that's why she was able to, like, fight Ava in a way to help Barry, because even Iris knew that Barry couldn't defeat her on his own. Like, you needed somebody that could fight back with the same power she had. And as my sister said, it was very kind of like, in a way, they were taking stuff from Marvel a little bit with the whole Ava versus Iris. It was kind of like, Vision versus White Vision in a way, but I mean, of course, Marvel pulled that off because, they had years of setup for that, and it just worked so well. But I don't know, it was just very, when we found out, Iris had that power, I was like, okay, this is very, it's like, okay, like, all right, I guess that makes sense, because she was in there for a while, so of course, she would probably have that power. But I don't know, the way they kind of just convinced her, just like, you like, look what you're doing, and like she just stopped doing it, and then she let everybody out of the Mirrorverse, was kind of like, okay, that's ridiculous. But in the beginning of this episode, we get to the point where, everybody's waking up from getting their butt kicked by Barry, but even though it wasn't Barry, it was a Siri version of Barry that like had wasn't thinking with his, like, I was just thinking with no emotion. He was just a robot. So we get to the point where, Cisco wakes up, Allegra wakes up, Caitlin wakes up, which aka Snow, and we get to the point where they're about to shoot Barry when Barry is, like, like seeing Iris shaking on the floor, and, she needs help. And he said, and he's like, please help her. And they realize that Barry's back to normal, and he broke the artificial Speed Force thing. Like, he broke the device that gave him that power again. And we're at the point where, he just doesn't have his power anymore. He feels guilty that he hurt the team, and he's like, that was me, even though that, made me, I guess, even though, like, the artificial Speed Force, I guess, was used in a way of the fact that, of the way Thawne used negative, tachyons to give him his, his speed. It's like that he was still angry. He didn't, like, he knew he was angry at the fact that his emotions were always being used against him, and he was happy almost that that side got turned off of him, and he could just think pure statistically on everything. So in a way, he was kind of happy. He's like, that was me. Like, and they're like, let's just put that behind us and let's try to figure out the problem. But in a way, he knew that he could not beat Ava without his speed. And we end up getting to the point, to the point of the show where, Harrison, the original Harrison Wells, comes back, and that one moment was like, okay, this is kind of out of nowhere. Because the way they kind of set it up in the last episode made me feel like we were going to get that later in the season. That would be like a bigger agenda on how that happened. Like, there was something going to really be, like, big in that moment, but, like, they brought it up right here, and it was kind of like, okay, that's kind of random. You're coming in to save the day almost. That's kind of random. Because I was kind of prepared, like, it would be a bigger storyline of, like, how are you back? But in a way, it was all in balance. He explained it like there needed to be a balance, and since there was no Wells left in any of the other universes, because any of the other Earths are gone now. So in a way, it's like At least I think they're gone in Crisis. At least all these worlds, I'm assuming now. So what I'm getting at is that there needed to be a balance. So that's why that old Harrison Wells that originally died. I guess there needed to be a balance, and that's why he came back, because he was the original Harrison Wells. And in a way, he was like, I guess, never supposed to die. So that's why he was able to come back. And I thought that was cool, but I thought there would have been a cooler explanation in a way to down the season to see why. Like, I thought there was just going to be something bigger there. It was so random in a way that he would come back right at that moment. And, of course, right in time to help Barry figure out everything. So I was like, okay, that was like, all right. But the one moment I felt like should have been so, like, okay, let's get it, let's go, was the one moment when he finally got his speed back. But when we finally find out how he's able to get his speed back, he goes to see Iris and says, please come back to me. And he gets a shock of lightning. And that was very reminiscent of, I think, in season 1 or season 2, where, it's season 1, where, Barry ends up, shocking Iris. And that's how Iris finds out that Barry's the Flash, because originally when he was in his coma, she touched him and he got shocked. So that's why she was able to find out that was Barry, because it happened once before when he was in the coma, before he got his powers. So I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, not like that means that, I guess, in a way, that your speed is still there. Because, when Harrison showed up, he said that, hey, you're the paragon of love. And I thought to myself, that's very reminiscent. Like, I thought right away, in Thor Ragnarok, when Odin says to Thor, hey, are you the goddess of hammers? And then I thought it was, like, very reminiscent of that. Like, the power is within you. Like, you don't need any of these other things, in a way. Like, you just need to have the will to fight, in a way. So then when we got to the point where I thought, he is almost the Speed Force. There is no, like, it's him. I thought, like, they were going to go that cool route or something, right? But then we get to the point where we find out that Iris has the Speed Force in her because she had it once before when Barry transferred his powers to her. I guess that force was still there. Hence why Nora has, purple lightning from Iris and then orange lightning from Barry. So I was like, okay. I was like, all right. I see how that works. I thought to myself, that's kind of dumb how it would have still have been in her, that life force. I thought it would have been cooler that it would still have been there in Barry, and you just needed to unlock that side and know that even without the power, he still has the will to fight, and then it would have just came back because that's what he needed to unlock that power or something. Not in a way depending on Iris and his love for Iris and all that. I kind of wish that it would have been like it was always within him, that power. I thought it would have been cooler if we would have went that route. Like it was always in you, dude. Like you never lost it. You just needed to believe in yourself and believe you can do it, because we've seen as from the last season, since Crisis and everything to this season, he was never like, he lost that motivational side that we can do this, guys, we can do this. He lost that side of himself. And, with everything, him turning against his friends and him, and I just would really have loved, it would have been a moment where he realized, Harrison told him, like, dude, it was always in you, man. It was always in you. Like, you need to believe. You need to get to that to the person you were, how you never gave up and you wanted to keep trying and you never subdued to defeat. I felt like that would have been cooler. And so Iris always had the Speed Force in her because of the fact that you transferred it to her, so hence why that's still there. I just thought that would have been a cooler route, and it would have been like, oh, let's go, bro. You've always had it in you. Let's get it. I thought that would have been a cool moment. And when we see him running into the Speed Force, when Iris comes out of like her coma situation and like felt, I guess, that moment where he got the bolt of lightning, I felt like, I don't know if that was like the mirror version of her, like she was still kind of in that like trance like set moment, like when she was in the Mirrorverse, like she almost wasn't thinking straight in a way. I thought that was like the Mirrorverse side of her, like saying, oh, this is what I need to do. But I guess it was actually her when she did that, I think. So, because she overheard what they were saying, at least I'm thinking, I really couldn't understand if that was like, she was like actually back to being Iris instead of her brain being scrambled from the Mirrorverse. But I don't know, they really didn't kind of explain that to me in a way. I don't know if anybody else picked up on that. But when we see Barry running in the art, like I guess the training room, he was running and running and running, but they really didn't show that enough. They really didn't build up that moment where I'm like, let's go. I'm so happy this is the best episode, because last episode was a hell of a lot better than this episode. And this was supposed to be like the end chapter of season 6. And I was kind of like, all right, like from the beginning of the episode to the moment where he gets his speed back, I was like, I'm not very hyped for this. I'm not like, okay, let's go. Like you're the Flash again. It just didn't really build up to the hype of the way of sort of in a way a finale should have ended of that character. And the way they kind of, again, Iris just kind of convinces Ava just to stop. It's like, really, you couldn't have done that earlier. You've had so much time with her in the Mirrorverse, you couldn't just talk to her and make her try to see like what she was doing was wrong. I was like, that's kind of dumb. It's kind of like you really just want to wrap this up, so that's why you're just going to do it like that. I mean, you gave us this villain. At least you should have done it in a better way, almost. Because I feel like they're kind of like, it's like, then I just don't understand it. It's like they really couldn't have done it any other way than, oh, I'm just going to convince her to stop it. She's just going to do it. I just thought that was kind of weird, and they just wanted to wrap up the story. But also, the fact of it is when Barry comes back with his speed, goes to go fight Ava. Cisco has his vibe powers, but they're not his vibe powers. They're the gauntlets, I guess, that he stole from Ava, and he modified them to do the vibing thing, because she was able to do the mirror vibe thing. But I thought to myself, that's the dumbest thing ever. I was like, this is so dumb, bro. You could have had your powers, but instead you got rid of them, because I think, I forget his girlfriend's name. Sing, what is it, Bethany? Sing and, I forget her name, but I think she was afraid of him almost originally in the season, and like that's why he wanted to get rid of his powers. I felt like that was the dumbest thing, that the storyline of how he got rid of his powers, because I think because a Reverse Flash gave them to him, so he thought they were bad powers. That's the dumbest storyline I hated so much. You've done so much good with those powers, and when you really needed them the most in Crisis to get people off of Earth, you must have felt stupid then, my guy. Like, I was like, he must feel really shitty about himself that he got rid of his powers, and he could have saved millions of people back in Crisis. He could have helped Barry without relying on these stupid toys that he made to help Barry in the end. I just thought that was dumb. I was like, this would have meant so much more if he would have kept those powers. It would have meant more in the end. It would have been cool to see how, like, oh, he felt bad. Like, he felt like, oh, God, man, these powers are bad because, Reverse Thawne gave them to me. But he overcame that and saw how he, even though he was given them by a bad person, he was using them for greatness. That would have been a cooler thing to see. Not, oh, I've got these powers by an evil person, and in a way, the girl I'm talking to is kind of afraid of them, so I'm gonna get rid of them because she wants me to get rid of them. Really, dude? Really? I was like, that's such a shitty storyline. I'm not happy with Cisco's character. I don't really like his character anymore, like I used to. But other than that, I mean, so when those gauntlets didn't work, he ended up fighting with Frost. And then the whole moment where Ava makes copies of herself because, Flash invited, his team, so she's going to make her team, which she called them her children and said, I'm their mother. Dude, we're back to this mother stuff. I said to myself, oh, great. They really haven't been paying attention to our reaction of the way we felt about Joss Whedon's Justice League with the whole mother thing of, Steppenwolf. They heard our backlash on the whole mother aspect, and yet you were going to bring the whole mother thing back in. I said, that's disgusting. I said, get out of here with that. I was like, this is so cringe. They clearly didn't listen to us before, and they're really going to bring this mother stuff back. I was cringing every time she said mother and my children. I was like, get out of here. I was like, this just ruins this for me. I was like, this isn't good at all. So the whole, I want to make this my world, and my children will be here, and you guys will just have to accept them. I was like, this is such a stupid plot for a villain. I just don't like Ava as a villain. I'm like, this villain isn't good at all. I'm like, this really is not a good villain. I don't know what it is. I was really hoping, since how we got that good episode last week, it would transfer over for the finale of season 6, and we would finally get into the season 7 stuff. But it was not good. They once again steered me wrong, and I guess I could say season 6 was a bust entirely now. I was kind of hoping they would make a comeback, but they did not. So I'm just frustrated. I mean, this episode was really trying to, like, from the way it, like, carried over from we got that good episode to this episode, it did not carry well. It did not come over well into, it just, the tone was just weird. It just didn't carry that hype and that, okay, let's go moment. Like, how would Barry come back from being a Siri robot? How would he come back from finally, he knew in his heart he had to break the machine because he wasn't himself. And him coming back from that and him learning that it should have been in him the entire time, his power, but he needed to believe. Think about the way Barry used to be. How he was always driven to help people, and he always believed in his team and to always winning in the end. He's not that same person anymore. I know there always should be character development, but you should always stick to who he was, which that's what made him the Flash. His pure of heart, his pure will to want to fight, and his drive. And that he's just not that anymore. And the fact that he had to really kind of depend on Iris to get his speed back, I was like, that sucks, man. That sucks for your character. Because you're the Flash. There is no, when Iris says, we're Team Flash, or we're this, we're that. No, he is the Flash. It's always been him. And I feel like that they really needed to show us in that moment. It's always been you, dude. It's always been you. It's you. You're pure of heart. You're the God. You're the what do you call it? Beth, what do you call it? The paragon of love. That's him. You're the paragon of love. Your drive, your will. It should have been on him, not him depending on Iris having that part of the Speed Force for him to get his speed back. I thought that would have meant more if it was always in him. He was always pure heart, pure love. I just thought that would have been cooler. They kind of failed me. I do hope next week's episode, I hope is good. I hope so, because we're going back to the, what's his name, Beth? The gambler? Or the Abracadabra. We're going to Abracadabra again. He looks cool, his new costume. I think he got a new costume. I'm excited. It looks like we're kind of going back to the whole maybe going back to like some villains again. Like, kind of like a villain each week sort of situation. I feel like that's when it was at its best almost, when it was like a villain each week. And it kind of meant, it built to the story of like the big bad. So I don't know, I'm kind of hoping where we kind of get back to the roots of the Flash, why we loved the show. And I mean, also that big, bolt of lightning, of that colored lightning out of the air, was that a kind of a way that he maybe did in a way kind of, or is giving New Meta's powers? Because that big bolt of lightning, it was kind of like particle accelerator type situation, because that was a big bolt of lightning. I wonder if that's, me and my sister were talking about it, and she said maybe that's how Godspeed gets his powers, because I think he's going to be the main, actually Godspeed is coming this season, and I'm wondering if he's going to be the main villain. So I'm thinking maybe that's how he got his powers, because that was very Godspeed like lightning, that maybe that's how he got his powers, and maybe that's why they're silver and gold. So, or that gold silver situation. So I'm kind of excited. I'm excited to see where that's going to go. I mean, I'm hoping that now that we're done with season 6 and Ava's villain, I'm hoping we can finally get back to the roots of the Flash, and the show can be saved, because I really love this show. I love DC in general. I'm a DC and Marvel fan. I want them both to be successful for people. I just want to clarify that for people. I'm a DC and Marvel fan. But I'm going to be totally honest. Marvel knows what they're doing because they listen to one another. They listen to the fans. They hire new people. DC does not. That's the thing that they're lacking. They don't hire new people. They don't communicate to the fans. They don't communicate in general, I feel like, to each other. I feel like they're all on their own agendas that it just doesn't blend well with. They're all doing different things, but they're not. But they have to be all in sync to create a masterpiece. And I feel like they're all over the place, not hiring new people, not communicating with the fans, not communicating with one another, that it makes it work. And I'm hoping they can make this show great again. I'm hoping they can. It would be awesome if this show could be great. I'm hoping it can. Let's hope finally we're in season 7 now. Let's hope it goes great this season. I'm hoping it does. And also, guys, my Snyder Cut review will be up on Thursday, so make sure you look out for that. And if you've come across my channel, please subscribe to the channel, put on those notifications, like this video, because it helps me know that you guys like this content, and it makes me want to keep dropping more for you guys. Also, I mean, yeah, I'm as you guys know, and for people that don't know, I was never a big Zack Snyder fan. I liked a lot. I think he's great at cinematography. I think he's great at the whole costume development on his, like, I know he's not, like, in charge of the costumes in a way, but, like, he has a good eye from, like, what works for a thing and what doesn't. I just hope, and I mean, I like elements of Man of Steel. I like elements of BVS. I think the Ultimate Cut was a hell of a lot better than the cut we got in the theater. But I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm just hoping it's a success. I've been hearing great things from a whole bunch of critics, a whole bunch of people that I follow that do movie reviews and TV show reviews and all kinds of movie stuff, like with The Real Rejects, with Tyron Magnus. I love those guys, and they've been saying the movie is phenomenal, and it's been getting great on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm overall super hyped for that movie. I'm happy that Zack finally got to show the way he wanted the Justice League to be. I found it very unfair that he was not able to make his movie the way he, like, to make the Justice League. I felt very bad about that, because, I mean, his daughter died, and he shouldn't have been able to, put his daughter to rest, mourn, and then be able to come back and make this movie. But he was literally gypped on doing that because, Warner Brothers didn't want to do that, and they found that as a way to get him out of the DCU in general and to get somebody else in. I don't think they should have done that. I think, when somebody you hire somebody to make these movies, and they made 2 movies already, and it all leads up to this big finale, which was supposed to be his Justice League, and yet you hire somebody else. I think that's very messed up. So I'm finally happy he's able to come back and really deliver. And from what I've been hearing, he has. So I'm excited to check it out on Thursday. So again, stay tuned for that. But I'm going to end this video here and get into Superman and Lois, my review for that. But I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.